All right, good evening, everybody. It is still Monday the 20th, but now we're actually doing the 20th. So we're doing the 20th entry of this series. Today is Monday. It's actually Monday evening now, pretty late. Not late, but it's 8 p.m. on Martin Luther King Day. Jumping in, our first reading, as always, is Daily Reflections for Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. And for January 20th, he wrote, "Achieving unity or oneness with ourselves, with our loved ones, with our friends and working associates is the highest and best and most delicious fruit of the 7 habits. Most of us have tasted this fruit of true unity from time to time in the past, as we've also tasted the bitter, lonely fruit of disunity, and we know how precious and fragile unity is." So I warned you at the beginning of this series that there were days that I read these and they just don't land for me. The wording is too flowery or it's too fluffy. And this is a good example. This one really doesn't land for me. Achieving unity and our unity and oneness and bitter and sweet and fruit and all that just doesn't speak to me very well. But if I scrape all that aside, I think we're basically saying let's not become old, bitter individuals on an island by ourselves, right? Let's not live that way. I think we know people who do that. I think it's a natural tendency as we grow older to get more set in our ways and to begin to blame other people for what's going on in our lives around the world or in the world around us. And I think this course is a little bit about how to stay away from that, how to protect yourself from becoming old and bitter and alone. So that's what I take from that. Let's move on. So our second reading comes from Napoleon Hill's Positive Action Plan. And for January 20th, he wrote, "Honesty is a spiritual quality that cannot be evaluated in terms of money. There are many practical reasons to practice honesty. It requires far less effort to be truthful than to be deceitful. And in the long term, the risks are fewer and the rewards are greater. But in today's complex society, the boundaries of acceptable behavior have blurred until they are sometimes indistinguishable. Laws and codes of ethics establish minimum standards of behavior. Make sure you establish standards for yourself that exceed such minimums, a standard below which you will not allow yourself to fall regardless of what others may say or do. Your own set of standards will allow you to decide quickly and easily upon the appropriate course of action when faced with a difficult problem." So there are many times throughout the year that it blows me away that this guy wrote most of this stuff in the late 20s and early 30s during the depth of the Depression. When he talks about blurring of societal behaviors and the complex nature of today's world, because those words I think ring true to today, and I think that's why I find this book so timeless and why I enjoy reading it every day. I think this concept is a very important one, and that is the world around is not what we want to base our behaviors on. We know we should behave better than the society we are surrounded by or what we see on the news or the laws that we question. So I think it's okay to do that, but I also think it's good to say, well, that may be the law, but I'm a behave better than that, or I see everyone else doing this, but I choose not to participate in that. So, and I think it's good to have your own set of rules thought out, kind of in a quiet mind, in a quiet setting, in your office. When you're not bombarded with today's world, and that way, when you go out into the world, you kind of have your behavior patterns. You know what you like and you don't like. You know how you feel when you behave this way and you don't want to do that anymore and you wish you were known for this sort of behavior. If you could get that down and kind of write your own set of behavioral rules and have those in your heart and your mind as you move forward into the world, then it doesn't matter how other people act or what you're presented with. You have this sort of book of behaviors that you'll rely on, you'll go back to if you get confused on how to behave. I think that's what they're trying to say here, is to set your own set of standards or write your own set of standards. I found that useful, and I don't like to drift where society goes. And I just don't think a lot of things that I see out in the world are healthy, and I don't wish to participate in them. So I think I say that without any judgment, by the way. If others choose to behave in this way, I'm okay with that. It's not for me. And I think that's one of the critical parts of this learning of this course is it's okay to disagree with how other people choose to talk or behave or make decisions, and do that without judgment, and really to move on with your book of rules and your book of behaviors. Hope that helps. And you guys, that kind of wraps up this little mini marathon of catching up. I'll see you tomorrow morning on Tuesday. Thanks.